Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Rod Maloney. I'm a certified financial planner, and I have a question for you. Have you been asked to give up your traditional monthly pension check for a one-time lump sum payment? If so, this is one of the most important and difficult financial decisions that you're ever going to face. What you're about to see are actual retirees that just faced this very same problem. You'll learn what choice they made and why. You'll also hear from their financial advisors, Dean and Mike Thurman from InvestWise Financial. Dean and Mike have seen over 200 retirees faced with this decision. All of the participants in this town hall meeting are General Motors retirees, as General Motors is one of the first large corporations to offer retirees this choice. These retirees had to choose between continuing their traditional monthly annuity payments, which will now come from a Prudential annuity, or forego those lifetime payments for a one-time lump sum payment, which could be rolled over into a self-directed IRA or individual retirement account. Whether you work for GM, Ford, or some other organization, the dilemma is essentially the same. Hopefully, by hearing from others in a similar predicament as yourself, this will help you make the right choice for you and your family. Dean, let's start with you. You had to have had that moment, and this must have stuck with you, that when that first call came in or the first email came in that told you that this was happening, something that nobody had ever seen before. What went through your mind?
I was shocked to find out that GM only gave people about 7 weeks to make the most important financial decision of their life. So needless to say, myself and my cousin and business partner, Mike Thurman, and many other financial advisors in Southeast Michigan basically didn't have a summer in 2012. Working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and dealing with a lot of, rightfully so, very stressed out retirees.
Mike, tell me about your thought. I mean, the PBGC, the federal government, had never done this before. You're going, whoa, this is a complete curveball. Is there even a book or a guide to know what to do with all of this?
No, it was a complete shock. I mean, this came on the heels of another announcement previous to that, where they were letting new retirees have this option of taking a lump sum or continuing or starting a monthly pension. This was something completely brand new.
I remembered back in 1965 when I was 17 and started working for GM. And as I was filling out the forms, the employment forms, the gentleman said, "Oh, you're set for life, medical benefits and insurance. You don't have anything to worry about." Well, after my early retirement, which was offered to me, and it didn't take too much for me to say, yeah, I'm going to retire 10 years ago. And because when I asked GM, what is your inducement to stay? And they said nothing. This felt more like doing it to them rather than for them. And I was confused when I saw the paperwork. I didn't understand what was going to happen. And initially I said, no, I'm not going to take the buyout because I don't trust that. And I'm not sure I'm going to manage the money if I did take it.
You chose the Prudential annuity. Tell me why.
Well, first off, I think we're having these discussions, but everything is dependent on your own personal circumstances, where you're at that point. I had other funds that I had managed to save through my 401k, so I had funds set aside that were in different types of investments. And some outside funds I was able to save, and I did not need a lump sum for any personal reason right now.
I'd much rather Prudential be managing the money than General Motors. So I think that was an upgrade for everybody. No matter if you took control or you went with a top-notch insurance company like Prudential. But if one thing we've all learned in the last 5 years is that big, strong companies can fail. Whether it's Chrysler and GM, AIG, Goldman Sachs, Enron for other reasons, right? Certainly any of them that we spoke to, or any place you might invest your lump sum to, could also someday fail, although very unlikely they could fail. So it's nice to be able to have that opportunity to move from one company to another if you get an uneasy feeling about the place where your money currently is.
Okay, David, tell me about your path through this process.
Well, initially, I thought I would take the lump sum buyout, and then I talked with some other friends, GM retirees, and I decided I would take the annuity, and I flip-flopped back and forth several times. Finally, I made an appointment with Dean, and again, like people have said, it's based on your own individual situation.
Is the proper math to take the lump sum and then divide it by the annual pension amount to get to break even? Is that the right math?
That would only be true if the person wanted to take that lump sum and literally put it in their drawer in their desk at home and then pull out that monthly pension each month. But what they're not factoring in are potential dividends, interest, capital gains, and any growth that that asset could earn. So the break even might actually be quite a bit longer than when they originally did their math.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be shorter. If the investment earns a negative rate of return, which does happen, that money could actually run out sooner than they thought. So,
Mm-hmm.
When I joined General Motors, I was in the understanding that I had a life with them, and at that point, I felt like they were just letting me go.
So this, I mean, in many ways, in your mind, these are promises that are broken.
Very much so.
It was anger, fear, and betrayal that we went through. But I will tell you this, you have to talk to each other. You really do. You have to be committed to each other, and you have to have faith, because this was a gut-wrenching decision that not only affected us, but our daughters.
How difficult an experience was this?
It was very trying in the beginning. And my first reaction to this was, let's just take the money and invest it and go with it. Just don't want to, well, I just don't want to rely on an insurance company that we're not familiar with right now. So it was back and forth and back and forth. And pretty much it was between us. We did talk with other GM and former GM employees at that time. However, it comes down to what's best for you and your family.
That's what's so great about this kind of town hall meeting that we have tonight. I mean, there's no right answers, no wrong answers. But what Mike and I saw from after being so experienced of seeing so many people is that what was one trigger for one couple was completely different, or almost the opposite for others. And we heard it here today about, somebody said, well, GM did this to me. Forget GM. I'm done with GM. And other people say, thank you, GM. You gave me the opportunity to have control over my retirement destiny now.
I looked at the opportunity of a lump sum as an opportunity to manage my own investments. And I met with Dean. I have another advisor that I met with. And as this gentleman here said, there was no wrong decision. But I think in my own personal case, one of the things that led me to the lump sum was I did have other investments to rely on. After I turned in the paperwork, I had another couple weeks or 3 weeks before you could rescind your decision. And I had decided I'm going to rescind my decision. I'm not going through with it. And about a week before that time came up, I decided I'm going to go with the lump sum.
Tell me, that's very stressful, what you're talking about there. Tell me about, because you're going back and forth. Should I, shouldn't I? Should I, shouldn't I? I'm out on a limb here. Somebody going to saw it off behind me. You must have spent more than a couple of nights sleeping.
I did. In fact, my first thought was, am I going to lose sleep over managing my own investments? Can I sleep good at night versus taking the annuity? And I thought maybe I'm not going to sleep good. But the more time I had to think about it, I finally came to the conclusion I'm making the right decision and I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
I think that was one of the myths or misconceptions, reading some of the comments in the newspaper and on some articles that were written on the subject. Some people had the assumption that they were going to have to pay an enormous amount of tax when they take the lump sum. The word lump sum in some people's minds means they're getting a big thing of cash, and if they're getting a big bag of cash, well, then they're going to have to pay a lot of taxes on that.
From your perspective, it really isn't much of a change. It's just somebody else managing your money.
Well, that's not true, because I went the other way. I took the buyout.
All right. Well, that's what I was asking. Your gut instinct was to go with the annuity, and now you change your mind. So tell me why you made that decision.
Well, because two things. I wanted to make sure there was enough there for my wife, no reduction in cost, or I should say in payments, and I also wanted, if there's anything left for my kids, that's it. Why not my family getting this money rather than Prudential Insurance Company? But, the thing of it is that the hard part is, you have to have a good financial advisor to see if you can do it. You can't do it. Not everybody can do this.
The life expectancy, the control, the beneficiary part of it, all real important, but nobody should even consider taking that lump sum unless the math works. And so for the no-brainer people that really should not take the lump sum are the people that are relying on every single dime of that pension income to come in. Because if you did take the lump sum in today's interest rate environments, you can't reproduce that same monthly amount from that lump sum from your ex-employer. You have to wait for interest rates to come back up, or you have to supplement with some of the other savings. So for the people that basically don't have much outside of their pension, we recommended all those folks, just stay with the Prudential.
Dean explained that it's like we don't have to watch the stock market and pick Scots and anything like that. I had an uncle who loved it, more power to him, but not me. And to find out that, there's other annuities, and to realize that, not only do I not have to really worry about, I don't have to stay up at night worrying about, is it in the right place, have I done the right decision?
Was that the most difficult part you found in trying to counsel people, or what was the most difficult part?
In my opinion, from where I stood, that's the easiest part. I think the hardest part for everybody was the emotional aspect of it, and trying to evaluate mortality. Is this something I want to leave to my kids? What's inflation going to be like? It's a difficult decision. Laying out the math, showing them that they can replace their income is the first step, and it may be a big step for them in understanding if they even have it as an option. But then once they know if they have it as an option, then it's difficult.
So who should consider taking the voluntary lump sum option? Well, those with other sources of retirement investments and income. Someone who's concerned about potential inflation and the erosion of their purchasing power. Retirees that have a trusted advisor or money manager. Individuals that want full control and access to their assets. Someone who would rather leave an unused portion of their lump sum or pension to their children instead of the pension provider or ex-employer. Those who have health issues or shorter life expectancy than average. And you're also wondering, who should consider staying with the regular monthly annuity payments? Well, those who need maximum safe income now. People who are not as concerned about leaving a legacy to heirs or charity. Individuals who understand that your fixed payments will not increase to keep up with inflation in the future. Those who don't wish to invest and control all of their own retirement income sources. Those with a longer life expectancy than average for both themselves and their spouses. Retirees who do not want to concern themselves with stock market or interest rate changes. Retirees who may view a lump sum as a large windfall and not manage their spending responsibly. If you're facing a similar pension decision, be sure to sit down with a trusted advisor like the advisors at InvestWise Financial. Not only will the advisors meet with individuals, these advisors are also available to speak to corporate and retiree groups. They can be reached at this phone number, 248-594-7040, or visit them at www.investwisefinancial.com.